Hi guys, I'm Amanda the Botanical Brunette and welcome to my channel. As you guys might have guessed from the title, this is going to be a repot with me video. So I have two really exciting plants that I got, two wish list plants that I have just purchased. I'm so in love with them. So one is going to be like a full repot in a new pot from a nursery pot, and the other one is going to stay in a nursery pot, but we're gonna kind of mix up the soil a little bit, and I'll kind of get into that in a minute. Before I get into that, please like and subscribe and share this video. Helps me out a ton. You guys are so amazing. I absolutely love sharing my plant stuff with you guys. So let's get into it. So as I said, we are going to be repotting two plants today. The first plant that I'm going to be repotting today is my yellow lime Maranta, or my prayer plant. Here she is, my yellow lime Miranta. So this plant I got from Etsy. It's from a seller that I've gotten plants from in the past, and it came in pretty good condition. Surprisingly, since it's coming all the way from California to Florida, it does make a few day journey in the mail, and plants kind of get banged up around in the mail sometimes. So she came in, and after a couple days, it started to get like a brown leaf, and it started to kind of decline a little bit, but it's been a few more days, and these three leaves are pretty good. They're growing, they're happy, and I have 3 growth points, so we're happy. I've been in contact with the seller. She told me to let her know like how it goes, and within a week if I want to send it back. These 3 leaves seem to be doing good. I've got the growth points that are kind of keeping it alive, and I've become attached to it. I named it. Its name is Sprite. So in a nursery pot, this is a nursery pot it shipped in. I like to leave my plants in. It doesn't matter how far they travel. If they travel by mail, I like to keep them in the nursery pot for at least a week, let them kind of adjust, and also in that week, quarantine. So she cleared, she's good. Sprite is all ready to go. So we have this beautiful pot. She does have some dirt in there from Sprite, so we'll dump that out. Drainage hole, I got these from Amazon. These are amazing. I got like 4 or 5 of these white pots, and they are all different like shapes. Like one is a stripe going this way, there's like a zigzag, a diamond pattern. Really cool. I'll put the link in the description for these pots. Awesome. And they're 5-inch, I think, 5 or 6 inch. So like, most of my plants are that size, so perfect. Last time I did a repot with me, I already had a premixed soil. So this time I'm gonna kind of show you how I mix my soils. So we have this premixed potting soil. It's just a commercial brand potting soil that I got from Lowe's. This potting soil has a little bit of peat moss. It has a tiny bit of perlite in it, and yeah, it's just your standard commercial potting soil. So I like to spiffy this up with my own concoction, and I will show you what I put in there. So let's start with perlite. Perlite. If you like airy soil, I don't care what plant it is, I aerate the soil. I am a chronic overwaterer, so I need this soil to be as fast draining as I can. I would rather water more than water less and wind up root rotting my plants. So next is some charcoal. Soil as chunky as we can. I just do it for antifungal purposes, antibacterial, just because that. And what else do we put in here? I like to put a tiny bit of this bad boy. This will help with fungus gnats. This helps with any kind of like critters that might be in the soil or might go into the soil. I like to just kind of put this in just as an insurance policy, just kind of like with the charcoal. So I put this in. Because I'm an overwaterer, I have a bad problem with fungus gnats. So this helps kind of get rid of that. So, and you want to be careful. I know that my face isn't on camera, but you want to be careful not to inhale this or the perlite dust. So when you're doing this, just be careful. I'm gonna just give it like a few squirts. That might be too much, but it's fine. It doesn't hurt your plants, as far as I know. If you know that, please let me know in the comments because I might have to repot a few. And then you just mix it up. And that's why I make such a mess. That's why I have to keep this tarp down. And there you go. That is what we're looking for. I like a very like fluffy, very like loose kind of soil. Nothing too serious. Okay, now that we've got our soil mix, it's time to repot. So what we do is lightly pull the plant out of the pot. Gently squeeze the nursery pot. Kind of until you'll start to see the soil start to almost spill over. These roots kind of seem a little, oop. All right. And as always, I always love to check the roots of the plant just to make sure that everything's good. Unlike these white roots are what you're gonna wanna look for. If you get any like brown or kind of like slimy roots, you'll wanna cut those off. But she is looking good. Ooh. All right, so we have one cutting and then another cutting. So what I like to do is I still like to keep the old soil. So I'll put that in the bottom of the pot. Pick that up, put it in there, as much as you can. I don't like to waste soil, especially if it's not like, if there's no like bugs or anything. And then take your big scoop and fill her up. Partway. I fill her up most of the way or halfway. And then you'll want to kind of like, so I like to kind of tuck the soil onto the sides just to give that ball a little place to land. And then I have this little guy that I'm just gonna kind of stick in there. Got like 2 little buds growing. And I like to put it, so these leaves are facing this way, so I put it facing that way, so that way it will grow all directions. You gotta think about stuff like that sometimes when you're kind of placing, especially if you have cuttings. Kind of where you'll want the plant to face. Of course, if you have your plant like back to a wall, it probably will face toward the sun, but this way at least you can try to turn it around and try to keep it all on one side, or try to keep it all on, you know what I mean. Try to keep it all facing different directions instead of one side. only disadvantage to the pots with the little plate attached is it gets so much soil in there and it's so hard to clean. My suggestion is to get a toothbrush, like an old toothbrush, or you can get a toothbrush from the dollar store, and just you can scrub that, because after a while when you water it, the water will start to gather here. Obviously there's a lot, pour it out, but sometimes it leaves, like at least like the water I have in my house will leave like a ring around it, kind of yellowy. So I just kind of take a toothbrush and I just kind of clean it with just water. So after they're planted, I like to give it a little bit of water. So for this Maranta, I am giving it a little bit of distilled water that has a little bit of hydrogen peroxide and a little bit of Super Thrive, just so they can adjust to the pot a little better. Soil is floating, so I might take this little dagger and just kind of give it some holes. This soil, when I got it, usually it's a little moist, but this soil that I got actually wound up being like really dry, so that might also be the reason why this is just not absorbing as much. We'll sprinkle it a little bit on top. I'm weird, I like the look of the perlite, the white contrast with the dark soil. So there we go. So she's nice and planted and ready to go. I'm gonna probably clean up the sides. I'll probably use a toothbrush, wipe that out. But she's nice and planted, ready to live her life in the pot. My next plant that I got actually yesterday from Lowe's, I was so stoked to get this plant, guys. Like, I walked in and I was only there for potting soil. I mean, of course, you have to look at the plants when you're there. So I'm looking at the plants and I see this plant by itself on a shelf and I'm like, done. I went over and I grabbed it, because usually I'll just kind of be like, oh, that's cute. I'll walk around. This was the last one and I knew it was gonna get grabbed. So I grabbed it. It is in a little bit of a rough shape, so she is a rehab, but one of my wish list plants, and I'm so excited to get her. It is this Begonia. Look at this beauty. Oh my God, she's so pretty with the polka-dot leaves. Oh. Again, she came in pretty rough shape. She has a lot of kind of holes in her. I don't know if that's like a puncture hole or if that's just from low humidity. I did wind up cutting a lot of the ends off just because I don't like brown tips. So I cut a lot of the ends off, but she's got this new little guy here. She's got a new growth here and a couple growth points all throughout. I want to say something really fast. That is also something that you'll want to find when you're looking for plants in a nursery or a plant store. You'll want to look for a plant, not the plant that looks most beautiful. Yes, you can grab a plant that looks beautiful, but sometimes it's better to grab a plant that has a lot of growth points, that has a lot of cuttings, that have a lot of like stems coming out, that aren't just one single plant that has like really pretty leaves, maybe like 4 or 5 stems that have decent leaves. So just keep that in mind too. This isn't a horrible find. Like, I was in love at first sight when I found this plant, but I know that she's gonna be a little bit of a work in progress. What I'm gonna do with her is she is in, let me see if I can pull this out. So this Begonia is in a nursery pot. This is actually a pot it came with. I just spray painted this white because it was black, and I'm all for the white pots. She is in, it looks like pretty much like a peat moss, cocoa core, very like loomy soil, which is good. But I want to add a little bit of perlite to her soil mixture and just kind of check out her roots and see how she's doing. Because I got her yesterday and I just picked her up at the store, she didn't go through a major travel, so she's good if I pull her out. So let's pull her out of her pot. Came right out. Didn't even need to try. And it's very, the soil is very loose. Also learned that begonias, especially this begonia, is prone to root rot and loves humidity. So, you know, that's just a match made in heaven for us. So I would definitely pray for this plant because who knows? So guys, I'm like starting to see, it's got one of those like cloths that people keep finding around the roots that will eventually like suffocate them. So, God, it's like wrapped all in the roots. It's like this like cloth. I've seen a lot of people talk about these, but I've never come across one. I don't know if these are made for something. I'm assuming probably to hold more moisture in, but I know a lot of people who have repotted plants with this basically like said that their plant like was dying because it was like wrapped all around it. So I'm gonna pull it off because I don't want that on there. And you have to be careful, guys, because like you could destroy the roots, and I want to be as careful as possible. So I'm pulling off like these little tiny pieces just to get it all off. Oh, this poor baby. It's like rolling all over the table. Okay. This also might be why this begonia is kind of like having a hard time. Okay, I had no choice, but I had to pull that off. They'll regrow, but I mean and I'll give you this, like the roots look pretty good. They're like, you know, a yellowy white, creamy. Ooh. The like sound of like the roots snapping literally sends chills down my spine. It's like, ooh, ooh. Man, good thing, like, honestly though, good thing that I did this, because I was honestly kind of thinking like, man, I don't need to repot it. Like, it's fine. It's not growing through the pot. You know, whatever. Now, I don't know a lot about begonias, but that doesn't seem like a lot of root. Maybe because I ripped it off, but oh, and it's got a little growth point in there, so there's another baby coming in. Very thin, very, 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 very thin roots. Which is kind of cool looking. Okay. So thankfully we did that. Like, look at all of that stuff. I mean, I would kind of suggest maybe like people buying plants from like anywhere, I guess, to checking their plants and making sure they don't have that. All right, so we got 2 cuttings for this begonia, and she has all that off. I'm gonna keep her soil kind of here. I don't want to use the soil, but I will add a little bit of charcoal. This is why I always put like a trash bag down or something, because I have like grooves in my table, and if it got into the grooves of the table, game over. Like, it would be a mess. And a good amount of perlite, just because I need that to be like a little more airy. And not too much. I mean, you'll see, it kind of just looks like a standard potting soil. But I just wanted to make sure that I added a little bit of perlite just to kind of like aerate that soil out. All right, now we're going to put it all back in. I'm pretty sure this is all like cocoa coir, or pretty much all of it. When you fluff out that soil, it gets like so expanded. All right, I'm gonna put the baby back in. I'm gonna leave them kind of like on their hooks. Make sure there's no more of that stuff. I kind of want these to go all the same way. So I'm gonna just kind of place them like the same way. Like that. Kind of how it was. I liked how it was, so you kind of go with that. Wow, guys, like I'm really happy. Like look at all that stuff. Look at all of that. Like I guess the intention for this is to keep it wet because begonias like moist soil. Or maybe that was like the pod it grew in. I have no idea. But I don't like it. Add it in. The soil seems pretty moist still, so I might not water a lot. I'm still gonna water a little bit just to kind of get the roots settled into the soil. And we got that little baby there. So cute. The red undersides of these plants, like come on, like gorgeous. Repotted, ready to go. And then I just stick her back in this pot where she'll live. And there she goes. Perfect. All better, no more of that stuff. Let's throw that away. Oh, and yeah, so those are my plants. Both of these, my wishlist plants. I was so happy to get these. Let me know in the comments, like if there is like a certain like potting mix that you like to use. I'm really like down, like I love to hear about like different potting mixes and what they do for like different plants. For a while, I never thought to use like charcoal in my potting mix, and I saw a lot of people using it and they said it's kind of antimicrobial, so I was like, okay, down, like let's do it. So yeah, just let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again, please like and subscribe, share this video. I do post a YouTube video once a week and I post blogs every other week, so stay tuned. I hope you guys all have a great day and